green levels. It's a beautiful thing.
Love to see
glorious thing. It's a glorious thing. Let me get the channel back on here. Let's go. Welcome everyone to Living Room Sports Talk. We got the great Zach Rothenberger. Emma, you gotta go first. Funny though, I was late for tonight's show. It's ironic how the technology and everything kind of came together here, Zach, and fell apart when I was late. So here we are, though. Welcome everyone to the show. We appreciate everyone for sticking with us through all the technical issues. Kim McCauley, Zach Rothenberger, kicking off a Tuesday night here in the Northeast. Which, to that point, if you could get through all that chop for the first minute of the startup of the show, we were a little snowstorm coming, maybe. But Zach, you hit the nail right on the head. For anyone that is just joining us, that really the weather report is the ultimate clickbait, isn't it?
It really is. One day it's a nor'easter, the next day it's just freezing rain. So we'll see. We'll see what we have in store for the Great Northeast.
And I love it. Your Uncle Rick getting the chat going already with the little Ravens. Big win.
It was a big win. Hey, we were on them to win last night, and they did it. They looked like their old selves. It was a big win.
You said they'd cover. They did.
Jeez, yeah, they did. Talk about back.
Sorta. Yeah, we'll talk about that. It's that point. Yeah, we got a great show, and obviously the game last night was great. So we'll recap all that. Talk a little bit about some other fun stuff here. It's kind of a mystery show. We'll talk more obviously about the NFL playoff picture. And chat obviously it's Tuesday, Zach. So we'll do a little show versus street segment. Yeah. But let's just jump into it. A little clickbait cleanup, to get things started.
Yeah, let's do it. So. Let's see. So, it's funny. Whenever I can't find clickbait on ESPN or ESPN Plus that I pay for, I always go back to Sports Illustrated. And Sports Illustrated is always my fail-safe as far as if I can't find anything, it's definitely going to be there. So they posted an article that says NFL playoff picture plus draft watch ahead of Week 15. There's so many things still left to come about, in these last 3 weeks. So the draft watch thing is ridiculous. We can't talk about the draft at this point in time. I'm sorry.
You can't talk about the draft when the order's not even established yet.
No, and you have the Jags who are 1-12, and you have the Jets who are 0-13. It's like you can't even clearly say who's going to get the number one pick yet, technically. So. Just pump the brakes. Wait till the last week before we get into that type of talk.
Well, I think it's funny too because, of course, my voice cracks, right? Like I'm a cartoon character, but I think it's funny because even in April, how much time, especially we get super horny on the show for the draft. Like how many times, and I'm not trying to toot my horn by this, how many times did I say stuff like, "But you don't even know if someone's going to trade or where people are going to go, right?" And then people get hurt. Like, first of all, we haven't gone through there's so many layers before. It's almost like. It's like saying, and we watched the season premiere. We know who the killer is going to be. It's like, no, there's 10 episodes to go in the season. You don't know that.
Right. No, exactly. You're just jumping the gun a little bit with this talk.
Yeah, I was about to say, trust me, I made a lot of bad predictions.
Me too.
You ever watched Frozen before?
Let it snow, baby.
Yeah, it's a good movie.
It is good.
As you can see, my voice keeps cracking, and quite frankly, it sounds like this. Look at this. My Siri's already saying, not you. Evidently, Frozen's right for my age group because I'm just trying to hit puberty and stuff and get my voice to crack. So I did not see that plot twist in that movie though, and of course, right as my sister Lauren and Emily and I were watching it together back in Delaware, and I was sitting there asking them because they'd both seen it. I was like, there was a part where there was a guy or a girl, I don't want to give it away, that there's a part where they're singing, and I just say at this point, I'm like, when are we going to find out who the bad guy is? Come on. Can we just I don't even feel there's an antagonist in this movie. And then, of course, that was the person. Mm-hmm. So, with the plot twist. So, yeah. All right. Anyway, to that point, I've been wrong a lot. So,
we're all been wrong.
All right. Yeah. To that point. So, hey, if I've been wrong, I can cast a stone and say someone else has been wrong. So, let's do some clickbait. Hey, Karen and I. So, I don't know why I'm going down this avenue. Times are good. Life's good. I don't know why I'm just walking down this avenue, Zach. It's insecurity is what it is, at its finest point. So I saw some Packers, Twitter accounts tweeting out that there's an article with the headline, Green Bay Packers re-sign Aaron Jones, or will they let him walk? And it's all revolving around now because he signed with Drew Rosenhaus and Rosenhaus Sports over the course of the week. And the tweet says, after he signed with a new high-profile agent to take care of his next contract, I doubt we see Aaron Jones return next year. Why? Now, I do say, here's what I find very interesting about all of this, and I won't lie to you. I did see a tweet that Jamal Williams' agent is up in Green Bay right now, which everyone's like, well, like the only reason he'd be up there is if they're signing a deal. I still think they'll re-sign Aaron Jones, and I think what my hunch is what's going to happen is they would lock up Williams and then they'll tag Jones if they really need to. They don't want to let him go. But that's my thought in general, not to dive into deep Packers talk, but either way, I think it's ridiculous. Just because he's signing with Drew Rosenhaus doesn't mean I understand. Look, coming from people who live in Philadelphia, we saw the whole T.O. saga unfold, but at the same point, I mean, I think people have to understand that, like, he has represented people in the Packers before, so it's like it's not the end of the world here.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. I mean, we all know that both Williams and Jones, their contracts end this season, but to start stirring this pot of potential drama, you guys didn't even make your playoff run yet.
That's the thing.
Let's still, again, we're jumping the gun, so pump the brakes.
Yeah, no, it's clickbait. But to that point, it wasn't clickbait, Zach. The game last night, good game last night, great game last night. Now, I'm just in the mood to make fun of myself today, I guess. It's like I'm the clown today. But I want to make fun of myself. But I actually want to see where you set yourself in this scene if this was your own world, right? Okay. So, I feel like it's funny. I was tired. I don't know what it was yesterday. I was just exhausted during the show. I felt like I had no pep, no zest, no energy, And I was like trying to crack back into the energy circuits by my voice cracking all today. So by Thursday, maybe I'll sound like I'm like ready to go. But to that point, yeah, I'm like a little kid getting excited about snow, voice cracking. But all right, anyway, to that point, like I said, I felt like, I was just a little, not optimistic. So I went to bed at 9 o'clock last night. Good night's sleep, rest up.
There you go.
Woke up at 11-ish, maybe it's like 10:30, 11. I think it was closer to 11. And I looked and I happened to see that I left my TV on and the game is still going on. The Monday Night Football game. And the Ravens were up 34-20. And I just remember kind of chuckling and just saying, all right, typical Browns. Like, I'm so glad I didn't watch any of this. It would have been such a waste of time. And I went back to bed. I woke up this morning. I saw the score was 47-42. And I'm like, that's so aggressive for like the last 13 minutes of that game. Like what happened, right? So before we start walking into what happened, it was a hell of a game, hell of a finish from top to bottom, and I feel like everyone's already labeling it the game of the year, which I wouldn't even say. I wouldn't disagree with that. I thought it was a hell of a game. Granted, I only saw the highlights again, but real quick before we dive into it, did you see the whole thing? Like, where are you at in this as yourself? Like, obviously we do our homework, so don't be alarmed. I don't know what Zach's answer is here, but
my answer might be worse than yours. I was watching the first quarter and I started to feel sick to my stomach. I almost got sick. And
it happens.
So I was laying on the couch. I had the game in the background. I was flipping between that and The Office, whatever was going to comfort me, if you will.
I know. I've been there.
Yeah, and I literally fell asleep. Probably it was right after the first quarter. I fell asleep, and I woke up at 12:30 and I saw Scott Van Pelt breaking the game down. So. Yes, I'm probably even worse than you, but I saw all the highlights and we're caught up to speed. So
well, you have a free pass, first of all, because your stomach. But by the way, you know what my go-to when I don't feel well in my stomach? I watch 30 for 30s.
Okay. Yeah, because it kind of distracts you. You get
exactly, but it's not enough that you need to pay attention because you kind of pick it up wherever it goes. But at the same point, you can relax. And oh yeah, I remember one time in college I felt sick to my stomach. I watched the Rec Room for the Big East, and ever since, just that was always my go-to.
There you go.
Yeah.
Good to know.
All right, let's get to the football. I know Uncle Rick's pumped the Ravens winning. 12 touchdowns in this game, and obviously you can see on the B-roll, and as we're running through this on the visual, I'm like Porky the Pig. It was a great game though, right? There's a lot to unwind. It's funny because it's rare, and I'm not trying to be like this Mr. Participation Trophy guy, but it's rare when you wake up the next day and you look at all the highlights and everyone's like, "You're both winners!" Like, even though one team only won, you're both winners. Like, that's kind of the tone of this game, I feel like, right? Because the Ravens obviously won; they needed to win. The Browns showed out and they looked good. They had their fans. It was probably the biggest game in the last 25 years for them. So, I mean, kind of what do you make of this whole game?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, per the article I wrote a couple weeks ago, I've been pretty I'm not on the Browns bus, but I knew they were better than what people thought they were, even though their record shows they're good. And I was glad to see that they hung tight last night and they almost won. So it proved to kind of the national media that, hey, the Browns are actually kind of legit, I'd say, this year. But what's big for me is that it seemed like Lamar Jackson got his groove back, if you will, a little bit. His statistics in the air weren't, super sexy by any means. He only threw for 163 yards and a touchdown, but seeing him, on his feet, he ran for over 120, had 2 rushing touchdowns, a passing touchdown. It was good to see. It was fun. I mean, it was a great game, and both teams just balled out. Baker Mayfield, that was probably one of Baker's best games, I'd say, of his NFL career, even though they lost. So that says a lot for the game.
And it's funny, it kind of actually where we are right now is I'm looking at the highlights roll, and it's like, if we look at the tape here, right? So it's 34-20. This is basically where I fell asleep back again for good. I'm thinking the Browns, it's the same old Browns. And then, Baker on this 4th and 4 steps into this, makes this phenomenal throw, right? And then here comes the back and forth. I'm almost feel like I'm doing a highlight reel as we talk about it. But, we'll walk it through, especially for anyone on the audio episodes that maybe didn't know what happened, right? So, okay, now the Browns cut it. This is where it gets interesting because the Ravens either went for 2. I don't know how this went about. They had 34. They either went for 2 or went for 1 and didn't get it. So they still had 34. But then the Browns elected to go for 2, so they cut it to 6. Now they go down. Then Baker scores a touchdown, which was plus 900 if anyone bet on that. I did see that line before the game. And I was going to say on the show that you should take that, but I just didn't because I don't know what I'm doing. And then to add, I just got to add little Kieran's gambling notes into the highlight reel. Look at the fans. That was awesome, right? And then obviously, and then the Ravens get the ball back, down by 1, and there's the whole Lamar Jackson coming out with cramps, then coming back in. Then he finds Hollywood Brown. They take the lead back. So once again, now there's just under 2 minutes to go. The Browns move down the field pretty quickly. And then, obviously Baker Mayfield, well, obviously, because we saw the highlights, right? But obviously, to that point, Kareem Hunt scores. And that, at this point, we're thinking overtime, I guess, if you're watching. Not we, because we were asleep, but you're thinking overtime. But no. And then that was it. We're looping the highlights. Let's show them what happened. So then that's when Justin Tucker banged the field goal. Now, I give the people that do highlights a lot of credit because I was, trying to be all over the place there, and that was not good. But to that point, first of all, it was a great game. Awesome game. Whoa. Have you seen the comments on Facebook?
No, what's that?
A Ravens fan named Uncle Rick that didn't watch the whole game. He's a Ravens fan.
Uncle Rick, come on, man. You got to stay up late for that.
Oh, you got to
stay up past your bedtime for that if you're a fan.
It's funny. I don't want to completely get sidetracked, but it's funny. I was actually thinking about this too because I saw a tweet or something like that. I don't wait. It was the Bills Steelers game. I guess a Bills fan was living in London, so they said something like, is it worth staying? The game basically started at either 1:30 or 2:30 in the morning for him.
Oh yeah,
that's the thick of it. That's the dead smack of time where it's like, do you go to bed? Do you wake up? Do you just stay up? But the problem is if you stay up till 2:30, then you're actually stay up till 5:30, right? But then on the other hand, it's like,
I think you go to bed at 9 o'clock and get up at 1 if that's the case, and then you just power through the rest of your day.
Then you kind of take away the whole if you, I'm not suggesting you'd want to drink before this if you're getting up at 2:30, but if you want to eat some food, drink, be merry, you can't really make a day of it because it's I gotta go to bed, and it's almost you know what I mean,
Yeah, no.
I think you really have to always take PTO on that Monday.
I was just about to say, just take that.
You
day
have
off.
to, and just be look, my team plays on prime time. That's how I do it.
So Uncle Rick tradition. Uncle Rick says he gets up at 5 while we're still sleeping. So there you go.
I've been up. Oh, trust me, I've had 5 a.m. wake up calls over the Packers on prime time.
Yeah, no, it's easy to do because just that stress doesn't fade away.
I know. That's the thing. I wouldn't be able to fall asleep.
That's how I am. Whether it's a win or a loss, usually I don't fall asleep till 1:30 if we play on.
Oh no, because it's coming back from battle. It's you can't just get back with the blood on your body and then just I'm gonna go to bed.
No, I'm fully prepared that next Monday I'll be drunk at work because of our Sunday night game. So
that's the Browns game.
It's the Browns game. Speaking of the Browns, yeah.
I know. All right, let's get back to that game. So 12 touchdowns. They both almost covered the under the over under themselves.
The over under was
45.5.
45.5. Well, dude, the Browns scored more than half of their points in the fourth quarter alone. They had 22 points in the fourth quarter.
It was crazy. That's what I'm saying. When I woke up, I was like, it's over. But it's funny because I was thinking to myself, I was looking to my notes here. This is where I have an issue with one of the things you said with when you were talking about the game. not issue. I don't want to be over dramatic. But let's look at the chat real quick. That'll be like a little cliffhanger, like to be continued. I'll even circle my point. But real quick, I mean, do you I see what you're saying in the chat. So you think the Giants can beat the Browns? This should have been your show versus street topic, and let's not even make it so much about the Giants. It's just like, right, like this was. I'm going to walk it in from a Browns perspective, right? You're allowed to lose this game. Like I just said, this is like the only time I think rarely you see. It's like once or twice a year there's these great games where everyone's just like, it's like that Chiefs-Rams game on Monday Night Football a few years ago where it's like, it doesn't matter who won or lost. Everyone won that game. Even the fans. Like, it's so annoying. ESPN always has that kumbaya game every year. And to be fair, they're always good games. I have an eyelash in my eye. I hate when that happens. But to that point, like, it was obviously a great game. But if you lose again now, if you're the Browns, right? Like, if you lose to the Giants, and then is that game, I forget, is that in Cleveland or is that in New York?
Jersey.
It's in Jersey, okay.
Yeah.
If you lose that game to the Giants, regardless that's on the road, question marks start popping up, right? If you're the Browns. That's no offense to you as a Giants fan. We're just saying, right, you're playing the team that's like right on the cusp of winning the division where it's the ugly duckling in the NFL, which is like, that's kind of the national take back when you're just kind of scaling and throwing it out there. What, like, right at the, like, I'm not, and this is an awkward question to ask you as a Giants fan, but I'm saying from a Browns fan perspective, put themselves in their shoes. Would that be a disturbing loss? Would that be you lost to a team on prime time, it happens, or is it like, or I mean the Steelers treatment, we're like, that's 2 losses, you're done, right? Like that's kind of how everyone's treating the Steelers right now. We forget that they were undefeated 2 weeks ago. So you know what I mean? Like where would the Browns losing this game leave us? And I hate doing hypotheticals. That's probably weird to ask the question.
No, it's all right. I think that would be a very disturbing loss for the Browns, absolutely. But what I'm seeing, I feel like what happened to the Raiders could happen to the Browns, I think. Because to me, those teams are fairly similar when you look at it. I think the Browns are slightly better than the Raiders, but they're fairly similar just from a personnel and just their style and where they rank with offense and defense and everything. So I could totally see, and this isn't me being the optimistic Giants fan, but I could totally see the Browns being a little hungover from this game because of how intense this was, how much you get up for this game and you lose, and it's just deflating. But what scares me is Baker Mayfield in prime time is like a whole other player. Baker Mayfield that plays at 1 o'clock in the afternoon is like half the player who Baker Mayfield is when he plays in prime time. So he seems to always pull things out of his hat when the lights are on him.
He does. You're right. I didn't even think about that. And I feel like he was like that in college a little bit too.
Yeah, I just think he loves that spotlight. I think, which I mean, he plays well. Yeah, no, you're exactly right. I would love to pull the stats on his primetime games statistics versus like 1 o'clock in the afternoon.
And it'd be fun to filter that against the road and see, what they're looking at. Because the thing, here's my almost like to play devil's advocate for the Browns. If they were to lose the next game, I'd be like, it's not even giving them a pass. I would look at it from 2 levels and then just kind of shrug and be like, all right, like, I mean, the dance is up soon, so like I don't know where this leaves us. But right, like if you lose to the Giants just lost at home. It's hard to lose 2 home games in a row. Now they're on prime time, right? Like they had their sobering moment where it's like they were on that 4-game win streak, and it's like all right, if you win 5 of 6, that's not bad, right? Kind of thing if you're the Giants. So like you can rectify this pretty quickly. To that point, my thing is if you're the Browns, you got to win a big game. Like enough of the excuses. Like, you lost to the Ravens. That was a tough game. You lost to you can't lose that game again. I think that's the problem I look with them. It's okay, sure, you get a mulligan because it doesn't actually count, but then like how much confidence can I really have in you if you go into the playoffs with your pants down after 2 games like that? Mm-hmm. Losses are lost. Like it's funny because I would never want the Packers to be one of those games where they were like, oh, well, they lost, but it was still amazing. It's like I don't. Last time I checked, where do I get amazing points in the standings? I don't get them. So it's just like every day that the highlights start, getting staler for that game, it's like, oh, it was a loss though, right? Mm-hmm. Like on Friday when everyone pulls up the playoff picture, now everyone's gonna be like, oh, well, look at the Browns there. Like, that was a great game on Monday. Did you see the game? No, they're gonna be saying like, well, I know they had a great game against the Ravens, but they got to win this game now, right? Like that's the tone.
Yeah, I completely agree. Here's what I'll say. Here will be I don't know if it's really a hot take or not, but if the Browns beat the Giants Sunday night, then to me, Stefanski has locked himself as the top 3 candidates or top 2 candidates for coach of the year, because to come back from a loss like that to win against, I don't care who it is, in prime time against a team who's also hungry and also fighting for a playoff spot like the Giants, that shows that he's got his team bought in.
Dude, he's a good coach. I totally, it's actually one of my points. It's funny because this brings me back to the other point I want to make with you. You're right. Stefanski's been phenomenal. And how can you not put him in the running for coach of the year? And it's really cool because, right, like, I feel like there's been build up for some coaches. You know, Freddie Kitchens, there was all that hype. And it's just like, Stefanski, like, oh God, all right, like, whatever. Like, you know, it can't get worse, can it? Like, it probably can. Like, that's probably the Browns' tone. And he's been Alexa, who's the Browns GM? Andrew Berry.
Okay,
right. So, he's been a home run hire. You also got to give John Dorsey some credit because, right, a lot of these guys, I always joke around and say the GMs are the interesting guys that go with credit. Look at Ed Wee with the Phillies.
Yeah.
Jim Rollins, Chase Utley, like that whole thing, but he wasn't there. The Pat Gillick eras were the years that they won the rings. Like, right. So it's like there's, and obviously, I'm not saying that every fired GM is low key great, but you know my point. But looking at it, here's my point with you that you said earlier when I was asking you to kind of give a general overview of the game. You said Lamar finally got back to his groove and won a big game. So, like, I don't know how to put this. It's fun. I'm like trying to. I'll just try. You'll pick up what I'm putting down. So basically, I feel like this is like a world within a world. It's like he always wins these games. Like, and not always, but I just mean better yet, I don't have any question about him winning these types of games. Like there's scales of big games, right? There's big games in like the first quadrant of the season because it's like, oh, gotta get off to a good start. Oh, you're on prime time. You're in a hostile environment. Like that's a big game, and it's a big game because your environment. Then there's big games because you gotta win. It's a big game because you gotta win that game. Right, like, and we're in that category now, right? Like, it's like, oh, it's prime time, everyone's got to win, and he did win. Like, I'll give them credit. Like, their backs are up against the wall, the whole thing. But I hate the crowd that tries to make this sound like it's a playoff game. That's my question, and that can't get answered until they go to the playoffs, right? Like, they've had 2 years in a row where it said, hey, come on in our building. We're going to host you on Sunday morning. Basically, it's like 1 o'clock. It always feels like it's a morning game there for the Ravens. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know why. It's like the London fog. But anyway, but like we'll come in. And then the visitors, whether it was Tennessee, whether it was the Chargers, are like, all right, we got you. Right? Like, I know he can win regular season games. They went 14-2 last year. I know they can win thrilling, hostile. Like, he can hit the first 2 check marks. Can he hit the third? There's not too many quarterbacks where you see them not be able to hit the third if they can hit the first 2. And I'm not saying he can't win a playoff game, but he hasn't won one yet. And I'm not saying you said this, but I feel like there's this general like group that's like, so yesterday, okay, so we can put those questions in. It's like, no, we can't. Right? It's like you do your homework. Your parents like, are you done? You're like, yeah. They're like, all right, let me check it. Like, yeah, check. I did it. It's like, that's what this kind of feels like. And I'm not saying he can't win. I'm not saying like. Because it's like the Sixers, right? Every year they win a couple games, whether it's like the Lakers, the Bucks. I think maybe they can hang with the Raptors. Maybe they can hang with the Bucks. And they couldn't with Brett Brown. And this is kind of the same thing. It's almost like, all right, I'm done with these regular season experiences to make me believe. It's like, right, like it's not the transitive property. It doesn't work that way.
Yeah, no, I completely get the point you're making. I think what I meant by when saying that he got his groove back was we hadn't seen him win in like an important game like that in a while. Obviously, we've never seen him win a playoff game, so that's still to be proven. I think in a sense, though, I think if they lose that game last night, I think that you could say goodbye to their playoff hopes. So I feel like that was almost like a do or die type of game.
And look, I'll give him credit. I'm not saying that he's not good. It's just there's another like. It's almost like he got the MVP award. It's like, but doesn't the MVP checks that third box off?
Right. Yeah.
I don't know. I kind of came in there hot with you there.
No, I like it. I mean, when you look at this Ravens team right now, it's like I think they've played 3 games over the last 12 days because of the COVID rescheduling, and the team hasn't really been together. For practices, in-person drills, and things like that. So when you look at it, I think that's why also the media is blowing this win up significantly. Is like, oh well, look, they had all this against them, and they won, against a good team. on the road, prime time, et cetera, et cetera. So I think that's why there's a lot of hype, and I think the Ravens, I think they're feeding off of that. And if you look at their schedule, I don't think they have. If I remember, their schedule moving forward is pretty light. So this should set them up to. I think they have the Jags this week.
I was about to say, I think it's Jacksonville. Then no offense, it's you guys, and then
the Jets. I think.
I feel like they put the Bengals or something last.
Something like that, probably. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it is. Yeah, because I think the Steelers. Usually, I feel like everyone plays a divisional team the last game of the season.
Yeah, here I go saying their schedule's light, and we're a part of that schedule. So.
I know. That's the only reason I was like, all right, I'll walk into that.
Not saying that's going to be a light game for them because
that's the toughest game for sure.
That's their toughest.
When everyone says they
left.
should win the rest of their games, they're basically saying you should beat the Giants. But like
you ask 9 out of 10, sports folks, they're going to tell you they're going to win that game. So
oh yeah, I still have this eyelash in my eye. How much does that suck? I know. I know. It's just hanging in there. But to that point, it seems they're just hanging in there. I swear that was not my way of trying to segue into the next segment, but it actually kind of worked perfectly.
Worked out.
All right, we talked about this, right? There's some teams on the hot seat, and I hate this because it's like, and I'm doing this right now. The whole like, is it a must-win game? Well, only must-win games are playoff games. Or like that whole like, all right. There's a few games though. I feel like if you look at the schedule, it's like if this team does not win on Sunday, it's probably over.
Yep.
Like very much, and it's like no, not like well if they win out. No, it's like even if they win out, it's probably over. Like they either need all the help in the world or like it is actually legit a wrap for them. I wrote down 1, 2, 3. I have 5 games, ironically enough. How many you have?
Well, I have 3, but I could see why you could have 5. 100%.
Okay, so do you want me to go first, and then we'll go.
Yeah, you go first, then we'll go back.
Well, actually, I'll tell you. Why don't you go first, and then I'll just tell you if there's any that I have, and then we'll just kind of break it down from there.
So my first one is actually Thursday night, Raiders-Chargers.
Okay, I have that one too.
Because if the Raiders lose that game, I mean, they're out of the playoff picture right now, and I mean, they're behind. In the Ravens, I don't think are even in the playoff picture right now. They just won, and I'm pretty yeah. So the Raiders, long story short, pretty much, in my opinion, need to like win out to make the playoffs. And the Chargers are a team, which we say this every week. They're talented, but they just can't win. I could easily see them sneaking up and beating a Raiders team who's clearly like incoherent at this point in time.
So right now, and I hate myself for this graphics not updated after last night's game. All right, so the Ravens are 8-5.
Mm-hmm.
They just don't have the tiebreaker with the Dolphins, I guess.
Correct.
Okay, so they don't have the tiebreaker with the Dolphins, and then Colts are 9-4, Browns are 9-4. This just got juicy. So. All right, Vegas is a game out, and they have the Dolphins game still coming up. So there's tiebreaker, like that whole thing.
So that's basically, it's like a mini playoff game, if you will.
So you're right. They have to win this game. Yeah, they have to win this game because I'm like tripping over my words. Because I feel like when you look at it, the AFC, especially the wild card race, the pace is just too fast to keep up with right now.
Yeah, for sure. You already said the other team that I had in another game, but we might have the same one. So yeah,
I was going to say, I feel like to that point, right? There's only so many must-win games, not like an opinion thing. So I feel like I'll let you do your 3, and then the other 2. I'm sure we both have the other 2.
The other one we were talking about the Dolphins is the Pats and Pats versus.
That's
Dolphins.
Another good one.
Yeah,
right.
Because I think that's the same thing for the same reason with the Raiders, and because the Ravens are right there too now. I think Miami needs to win this. It's
especially after losing to the Chiefs the way they did. I mean, that was everyone keeps saying like, "Oh, Chiefs, like that was a good game." Like, I mean, or the Dolphins, like they were in it. Okay, they were also down by 20 going into the fourth quarter.
Right. So we could chalk some of those points up to garbage time.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, they need to win. And what a world we live in. It's funny because I think we're on 2 levels. I don't think anyone really thinks the Patriots have a shot now making the playoffs, but it's like, okay, they have to literally win out. And then like they might be already dead, but it's like, okay, literally last call. Like this is it. They're loosening up the gallows, for you.
Absolutely. The train's leaving, so they got to run to try to catch it with that game.
Yeah, loosening the noose, I should say, for the gallows. I know, but that's good. I shouldn't have all the hanging terminology down. That'd be weird if I did. All right, anyway. And then you got Dolphins. That's what I'm saying. What a world we're living in, where it's like they're the one. Like if you hear, someone's life's on the line, we're all saying what Miami against New England, they're not going to win. It's like no, it's New England at Miami, and they're not going. Like it's like it's everything's flipped around.
Yeah, no, it really has. It's crazy, and you don't know what you're going to get with the Patriots because one week they're blowing teams out 45-0. The next week they look like they're a JV high school team. It's just
And the funny thing is, I could see them winning because they normally struggle, and they used to lose a lot of games with Brady down there. It's like, so watch now they'll go down there and win that game.
Oh, I can already see the media headlines.
It's like, yeah, absolutely.
Brady couldn't win in Miami, but Belichick can without him.
Yeah, right. But all right, what was the third game you had?
My third one was for both teams in this. It's the Bears and Vikings.
Oh yeah, definitely. That's the other one I had too. Yep.
Yeah, both teams. They're both 6-7. Pretty much like this is it. If you lose, you're done. If you win, you still have a shot. So
yeah. Oh, absolutely. And what's interesting is it pushes someone to 500.
Right.
That's what's interesting. Someone will be 7-7 after the day is done, and someone will be done.
Yep. Exactly. It's great. It's a crucial game, and the way the Bears have been playing with lately. We'll see.
It's like 6-8 or 7-7.
It's a huge difference. Like when you hear team 6-8, it's like man. And when you hear 7-7, it's like okay, they're right there.
Oh, they just got to win 2 more games, and they might have a shot. Yeah, exactly. And it's funny. So the other 2 I have for you is I have San Fran at Dallas because whoever actually loses that is done. Dallas is probably done. Like, both teams are probably done, but it's like it's kind of that same principle. It's like, well, they'll technically get a win after this, so like they'll still be probably like hanging by a thread. The other one's toast.
Yep.
And then the other one I have was actually you guys.
Yeah.
Because I'm just like, you can't lose this. I understand the nature of this, but I just don't think you guys can lose this game.
No. I mean, I still think the winner of the NFC East will be 7-9. But yeah, I mean, you don't want to put yourself in a position where you lose, then you got to win your last 2 games, especially when one's against the Ravens, who seem to all of a sudden found themselves again.
Exactly.
Like you just said. So,
that's why I'm seeing.
I just couldn't. I thought about that one, but I just couldn't pick an NFC East team because the NFC East has been so unpredictable that I was
that's
just trying to lay off. But
yeah, that's fair.
But you're exactly right though.
And it's fine. I'm looking at the chat too to ask, would I rather win the Vikings or Bears? Neither. Can they tie? So they're knocked out, right?
Tie, right?
Sorry, that's my Packers humor sliding in there, but I think honestly, all jokes aside, I would say if you're an NFC team, you're probably with the Bears. But here's the thing: if the Bears win, then it's just like the Vikings have been bipolar all season, so it would just be another brick in the wall. Whereas with the Bears, it's like, I'll put it this way: if the Bears win, then it's like it's Monday, like wait. It's like, so Jack, the Bears beat the Vikings. What's up with Knicks? Is there any chance it comes back? Like that's the whole segment. Yeah. It's just like that was weird. That was like trippy. It was like Twilight Zone doing a little Monday action there for him. But
we'll replay it if they win. We'll replay that.
Yeah. Oh my god, that'd be funny. Oh, I hope. Yeah. Oh my god, that'd be so funny. Now I hope we do. I hope we can make it happen. But yeah, to that point, that's the 5 I have. But I will say this: let's talk about a game real quick because let's do this segment real quick. There's too many good photos in here to not talk about this. So it sparked my memory. Sunday Night Football did a little graphic. Real quick, when you see this flash up here, I have to ask you if you know by chance, like just by seeing this, like probably not, but like, do you know where these wings are from? Some famous spot in Buffalo, like just by the box, or
it looks like Duff's.
Okay, and that was your spot, right?
That was my spot where I'm. I was at Duff's and Gabriel's Gate, and there's also one of the big sports bars downtown owned by Pagula. But I forget the name of that one. But Duff's was they're all great, but Duff's was my favorite.
Really? Okay. Yeah. So it got me thinking, and the question was kind of like, there's so many, it's hard to kind of like explain this, but I feel like the best way to put it is where's a place and a food tied to that said place where you go, you have it, you come back, you're just like, I can't eat this here because I went there and had it, and it's just like you can't. Mm-hmm. It's just night and day, like that whole thing, right? Like what's cities, food, all that, right? It's funny. I feel like maybe the segment kind of inspired you for your answer. I mean,
oh, it did. It did. Yeah. No, for me, it's definitely Buffalo with their wings. So good. Yeah. The picture that you have up is that was my friend Ryan took that picture.
I was about to say your picture is the best. It really looks like it's a professional photo. The fries and the pictures of beer, like it is. I mean, it's food porn.
It really. I mean, just looking at it, I'm getting hungry as we speak, but those wings are just simply the best.
I like barbecue in that one.
Yeah, he had barbecue, and I'm on the
Buffalo
back right.
Back there.
Mine were, I guess, mild. I think.
Oh, that's what I. Yeah. Oh, is the sauce better there?
Oh, that's what I think. That's what just everything makes them. The way they cook it, the way they do.
Is there a crunch to it?
A little bit. Oh yeah,
just a little bit. You don't need like a big crunch, not the PJ's crunch. You just want a little,
just a little.
Something there's like you're piercing the skin.
Oh yeah, and my God, it's just so good. You know, that weekend, that was literally the first thing. Like I drove from downtown Pennsylvania up to Staten Island, New York to pick my buddies up, and then we drove all the way to Buffalo from Staten Island. So it was like an 8-hour trip for me as I was driving. And literally the first thing we did was go to Duff's, and it was like the best welcoming to a city I could have ever had.
Oh my God, dude, that sounds absolutely incredible. It's seriously on the top of my list of I feel like places to see with food. Because I keep saying to you, I got to go to Buffalo, man. But I really want to.
Yeah, no, and you can see
those fries, the pictures. I bet you there was a jukebox back there.
There definitely was. It had hardwood floor. It had a little bit of a dive bar.
Dive bar feel. I love that feel.
It was just very like comfortable, just homey feeling. You know, like it was just welcoming. You know, they had pictures. There's tons of like celebrities who had gone there
all over on the walls and stuff.
Yeah, but it wasn't like a touristy feeling at all. But it was just great. Long story short, so. Whenever I think of Buffalo, it's like the wings instantly. I'm getting hungry literally as we speak.
It's that. Oh my God. It's funny because I feel like that's the way you describe that. That's the way I describe. Well, it's funny because you can get barbecue in Tap Point. You can get barbecue all sorts of places, but Kansas City barbecue. Ooh. And it's funny. I was telling Emily this on our hike. We were talking about it on Sunday, just the different types. And I was saying, to me, I think, right, you look, when you talk about barbecue, right, there's the Carolinas with their kind of vinaigrette, based like pulled pork and the fixings, but mostly pulled pork is kind of, I feel like that it's the champion dish with obviously cornbread and beans and all, you know, all that stuff. Right. And then you go to Memphis, the ribs, that's kind of the big thing. You know, and then obviously Texas, you have the brisket, but I feel like in Kansas City, the burnt ends, Alabama, you have the white sauce, but at that point, Kansas City, that's why I got the picture up right now. Q39 is to die for. And it's like, I love what the chat's saying too. New York bagels. That's not what I had in my notes. And that is such a good one. I mean, right. People don't put bagels up in the champion of foods, but that one's up there. But I'm looking at this one. Oh yeah. And this is a place I took you to, Zach, Q39.
Yeah. I was about to say that. And speaking of a welcoming to a city, that's right up there with the Buffalo, the wings, to be honest with you. So yeah, no, I can attest. Amazing barbecue. Amazing.
Well, it's funny because I remember you called me and you said you're out in Kansas City when I was out there at the same time, and what was that? Why I just suggest we go to? What was it? Just like, hey, let's do.
I was meeting a client in Kansas, and I was supposed to get dinner with them, and they ended up not being able to make it. So I was literally on the plane, and I called you, and you answered, and then it was just from there. That was the first place you took me.
That's awesome. Oh yeah, whenever I land there, before I even go to my hotel, I pick it up. The Burn Ends Burger there is to actually die for.
Oof,
everyone says, "Oh yeah," and then all the places there, Casey Joe's, Jack Stack, they're all great. But yeah, to that point, Central Barbecue though. Whew. But you know, it's funny. Let's talk real quick about it. So there's a few other ones I feel like that were good. We wrote them down.
Yeah, there was some, and there was actually.
I was gonna say you posted this on Instagram. You had some good answers, right?
Yeah. So one other thing, along with my other one, was also part of the whole New York thing. Is just New York pizza. You can't beat it. You know, Brooklyn pizza is phenomenal. The different boroughs have great pizza, and they're all slightly different. It's interesting, but
yeah.
So we went on social media with our Instagram folks to see what they thought, and we had two people say, you know, Philadelphia cheesesteaks, and there was a little bit of Philly attitude. Is such a.
When you stop real quick, I'm gonna almost do my little soapbox for each one, but not really. But when you stop and you actually think about it, like a cheesesteak is one of the places where, like, if you go and have it, first of all, in the actual city is a huge difference. Like, and I'm saying this as someone that lives in the suburbs, grew up in the suburbs, from the suburbs, like. Even if you're like 10 minutes outside the city, it is different. It is. And then let alone if you're like, if you go to anywhere outside of the southeastern Pennsylvania, good luck. Right? Yeah. You might find a good one in Scranton. You might find a random good one here or there just from someone from Philly that made good ones. But like never, if you go to like Ohio, like right, like if you ask people, Zach, like, oh, like what's in a cheesesteak? People say, oh, like mayonnaise. And right, like when I went out to a cheesesteak shop in Spokane, they literally put mayo on it and it was on French bread.
Oh,
like I remember almost like it was horrible.
Blasphemy, man.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, exactly. So I just had to get that out there.
Yeah, no, that's good. And then we had KC and barbecue.
Yep,
like you said. And then the other one we had was Nashville hot chicken.
That's a good one.
I've never been.
How did I miss that one? Hattie B's, of course.
Yeah.
And it extends to like Louisville, kind of just that area, Tennessee, Kentucky. There's another one called Royals Hot Chicken in Louisville, Kentucky, and it is. Oh my god! I actually think that's low key better than Hattie B's. That's my highest takes, but both are incredible. Yeah, it's good, dude. It's like spicy. It's like fried chicken. It's just like Kentucky Fried Chicken. It's amazing. Like,
it sounds delicious.
I wrote a few other ones. Just getting steak in the Midwest is just good. Whether it's Nebraska, Texas, Missouri, like any of those places are always good. Seattle, having the seafood out there, that's phenomenal, especially the oysters and stuff. Lobster roll up in New England. That's always, I feel like that's one I actually want. It's funny. That's the one I'll do it, but I'll just like, do we have any alcohol here? Like, oh god, that one creeps me out. I don't like mayonnaise, but
Baltimore and crabs too.
Yes, that's another good one. I didn't even think about that one. And do panini sandwiches out in Pittsburgh? Those are really good.
There you go.
Those are really good. Chicago deep dish pizza. It's funny. You say New York, I go Chicago, man. I think it's way better.
Oof.
Have you had it before?
Yeah.
Where'd you have it from? Just a plate. Don't tell me it's Uno.
No. I forget. I honestly
was
forget.
Was it Lou Malnati's?
I don't think so.
All right, good. I was going to say if that was it, I'd be like, oh man, well, checkmate. I guess. Damn it.
No, I forget. I don't know. I'm just so ingrained with like I said, I have
You're
family
New York
in
guy.
New York, so it's like I just think that's the best. So
I do like the thin crust in the Brooklyn style pizza. Yeah. Wisconsin cheese, dude. You've had that.
Yeah.
That's melts in your mouth, baby.
It literally melts in your mouth. Yeah.
And the sausage and stuff.
I'd even say Wisconsin beer is better than any other beer too.
It is, dude. It's so good. And the brats up there. You dine well up there.
I did. We did. We grew up that weekend.
Oh yeah, and then there was I have New Orleans Cajun food, and then California, like just like anywhere, like Arizona, California, and Florida too. Like the fruits and vegetables, like they're just so much fresher, like in those areas. Georgia peaches too.
Yeah.
All right, but that's real quick. Let's wrap this up. I know we got to get out of here. Do you want to wrap it up with a little show versus street real quick?
Yeah, let's do it. Let's do it.
Do you want me to kick you off, or do you want to kick me off? I don't care.
I'll kick you off.
All right, let's do it.
So the Saints lost last weekend, but I would have to imagine Drew Brees is coming back soon, and they're going to get back into form. So the Saints, they'll get the number 1 seed over the Packers, right?
Ooh, hit me at the heart. It's an interesting question. I think when you look at the Saints, it's not so much the Packers. I actually think the sleeping giant in this could maybe be the Rams. Right, like if they beat Seattle, first of all, they'll probably beat the Jets next week, right? And then it's like, okay, then they got Seattle, then they have the Cardinals, I think. So it's not easy for them, but if they do win those 3 games, let's say I think the Packers I think the Saints are going to lose to Kansas City probably next week, and if they don't, they'll probably get tripped up by the Vikings or something randomly. But to that point, I think the Packers will probably lose to Tennessee, or they'll get tripped up by Carolina or Chicago with one of those goofy games. So I think the door's going to be open. If someone wants to win out, they'll take it, but I don't see the Saints winning it, no. But that doesn't mean I think the Packers are. I just don't think the Saints will.
That's a good take. I have to start getting the Rams like in my brain that they're actually good.
Well, I don't know if they are. This could be the thing where I'm like, oh, they're great, and then they're not. So I don't know. But all right, well, let me spin on you. Do you want to keep in the NFC playoff picture?
Yeah, let's do it.
I'm sorry, I'm throwing a fastball at you here, kind of up and in. Washington will actually. You might like this. Washington will not win the NFC East.
Oh, Washington will not win the NFC East. Ooh, I thought you were going a different direction there. Okay,
no, actually, I wrote it down differently. How about that?
I like that. I like that little curveball. Yeah. Washington will not win the NFC East. So I'll do a street take to tell you why they could win the NFC East.
Okay.
All right, so they play the Seahawks this week. That's a tough game, right? But then they have the Panthers and the Eagles. So in reality, they could easily finish 8-8. And 8-8 would be superb given the current the outlook of the NFC East all season. But my thing is, well, I'll tell you why they will win. Because they play the Panthers and the Eagles, they can win those 2 games. We'll play 8-8. Their defense is playing out of this world.
Old team. That's a lock. So that's one win in.
Right, exactly. So defense is playing out of this world. Alex Smith, hopefully he's back for the next game. He's a veteran quarterback. He makes the smart decisions you need to make. Just put up 20 points a game, 17 points a game. You'll be fine with that defense. So, but why they won't win is because I have a feeling the Eagles, week 17, are going to trip them up with Jalen Hurts. Not to look too far out and not to talk about the Eagles too positively, because that hurts me. But I could see that happen. Originally, I thought it was going to be Giants-Cowboys. I think Giants in Washington could see both of them being 7-9. Giants have the tiebreaker.
So I think what's interesting in all this is the smoking gun is Dwayne Haskins starting or is he not? Right? If he's
That's a
not
great
starting,
point.
I have no problem. I'm like, nah, they're going to be fine. But like, if they, I don't know if they roll him out there.
That's a phenomenal point. If they have to have him on the field, then
And,
you're going to
and
go 0-3.
look no further than how many games in a row Seattle's probably won on the East Coast. It's a lot. It's I mean I want to say it's a lot, but I could be wrong.
Yeah.
They don't lose out on the East Coast, so I mean there's that too. They got to factor in.
Yeah. No, exactly.
All right, but that was a fun show. It's a good time.
Oh yeah.
And real quick, because we don't have a show tomorrow, got to give my cousin Mary Kate a birthday shout out. Got to give her birthday love, right?
Happy birthday! Yeah.
And she's a great,
awesome.
her and her husband John, and really everyone on my side of the family, right? I mean, and yours too. I would say all our family are great supporters of the show and stuff. So we always got to give those birthday shout outs. And even like Trust and any of those guys, we hear from you guys. We got to give you guys birthday shout outs too. So
absolutely,
always got to give them out when we get them. And so Mary Kate, we hope you have an awesome birthday. But yeah, that was a great show. So we'll be back on the air, like I was saying, not tomorrow. We'll be back on a Thursday at 7:00. Real quick, if you just want to run through it, if you want to follow us on Spotify or iTunes, you can check out all the audio episodes there. Also check us out on social media, Instagram, Twitter, and Reddit @_GetSidetracked. Also make sure you visit the website at www.get-sidetrack.com. And if you want to do some video action, which is probably not going to be, you can get in the chat, you can have all sorts of fun stuff. Follow with the heart to the left, subscribe to the right. All sorts of good stuff there, and it's free with Amazon Prime, so there's really no excuse just to kind of do the full shebang if you want the whole living room sports talk experience. And then to that point, it's also free to subscribe on YouTube. We have highlights, all sorts of cool stuff. You can get about the show that way too. If you're a YouTube person, you can check us out on there. And if you're kind of digging what we're putting down on the store with some cool stuff with the logo and the gear, our marketing person Kelly Bond did an awesome job with this. You can check us out on the store. All the cool stuff, all the logos. I just got my neck gaiter in the mail. So, yeah, I rocked that today, Zach.
There you go.
Perfect time of the year. Yeah, it's getting chilly out. So, yeah, this was an awesome show, though. If you want to check out the site, feel free. So, like I said, we're back on the air on Thursday at 7:00. You got any parting thoughts for the people, Zach?
I don't. We'll waiver wire coming this week. Fantasy playoffs this weekend.
We locked in. A big week for you, Zachy.
Big week. Yeah, I'm locked in.
Trying to defend the championship, defend the crown. This is where I stumbled off the road last year in the defense.
I know. Now we'll see what happens. So
yeah, we'll see what happens.
Fingers crossed.
Just like we'll see with everyone on. So we'll see what happens. Especially the snowstorm tomorrow.
That's right.
So we'll talk about that a little on Thursday too.
Yeah, absolutely.
Awesome. We hope everyone has a great night, and we'll see everyone back in the room.